Good evening, everyone. It's great to see so many people here. So I do want to welcome family, friends, and CCR students to Family and Friends Night. For all our family and friends present, it's great to have you here supporting your student on their journey through court reporting school. And that's the purpose of our presentation tonight, support your CCR student. If you would put up a check mark, we'd like to know whether or not you are a family or friend, or if you have a family and friend there with you tonight. You can find the check mark by right under the participants window. If you hover over the little box that looks like a check mark, if you hover over it, you have the option of selecting the yes. So if you put a check mark up, wow, that's great. Just really nice, wonderful. All right, very exciting. All right, in a short 60 minutes, you'll be with us for 60 minutes, we're going to give you a snippet of the rigors and rewards of your student on their journey through our court reporting program. Our presenters tonight are our teachers who will take you on a journey from theory to graduation, and our guest speakers, Kelly Olhausen, a CCR graduate, RPR, which is a registered professional reporter and a certified shorthand reporter in the state of Arizona. She's a freelance reporter. We also have Paul Hoover, a spouse of a CCR graduate, that will give you a husband's perspective on watching his wife go through court reporting school. Because of the volume of our attendees tonight, which is wonderful, we ask that you at this time refrain from using the chat feature and from raising your hand for questions. We will allow a bit of time at the end of the presentation for questions. So with that, we're going to go ahead and get started with our first presenter tonight, which is Tim Moody. He's going to give you some information on computer and technical requirements of students. So take it away, Tim.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. Welcome. It's so nice to see everybody here this evening. And we're going to speak briefly, I think, on each of our topics. So I'm going to get right into computer and technical requirements. Students enrolled at CCR need to have the necessary equipment and technical settings and configurations for things to work correctly and to ensure their success as they work towards their goals. So up-to-date functioning equipment is essential to their success, as we all know. When students are enrolled at CCR, they need, at a minimum, an up-to-date computer and the correct operating system. And with that, we always recommend a computer that is reserved for the student and his or her schoolwork. That is, no games, no unnecessary applications on the computer that might be shared with others, such as kids or spouses or roommates, no unnecessary chat software. Programs. These things often interfere with the applications that they need to run their schoolwork. Also a working keyboard, of course, necessary software and browser, including their translation software, typically Case, Catalyst, or Eclipse. Firefox is the preferred browser for everything to work correctly, and of course updated Java, which is correctly configured. They also need to have reliable internet access, including access that's free from unnecessary traffic or interference that might slow down their connection or prevent access to things. If students are going on wireless and they experience delays or things, perhaps they have the capability to plug directly into their internet. Also, if others share the internet with the students, it's often recommended that they designate times when the student has sole access, because when a lot of people are going through the same internet connection, sometimes it slows things down, and a lot of the work that students do is streaming video or streaming audio, which does already, as it is, require a lot of bandwidth. Also, a functioning headset Students are required to attend both recorded and live classes each week, often requiring that they do read back out loud, so their headset and microphone need to be in working shape. And of course, their machine or writer with the necessary equipment to write into their software and create job files to correctly submit their homework and the evaluations that they take each week. So you can see there are several minimum requirements that students need in terms of equipment and technology, but this only mirrors the real world of court reporting, whether they're working in a courtroom, doing depositions, or doing real-time captioning or they're going to need all of these things to be successful in their jobs. And also like the real world, and perhaps most importantly, they'll need the cooperation and support of you, their family, and friends. So keep encouraging and supporting your future court reporter friend and family member, and do your part to continue to encourage them. And that's it from me. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Tim. Our next presenter is our instructor, Lois Skoro. She's going to talk about how we learn to write steno. And I have a picture of our two theory teachers here in the lower right-hand corner. On your left is Katie Vetical. She teaches Theory 1. And on your right is Jamie Noggle, and she teaches Theory 2. So take it away, Alice.
Hello, everybody. I suppose you've all seen your friend or family member write on that little funny machine, and maybe you've wondered how exactly that comes about. Actually, that machine is state-of-the-art today. It was invented in the 1800s, so apart from maybe the material that's used to create the machine, we're still looking at something that is state-of-the-art today in terms of how it's used. There's just 22 keys. So unlike a QWERTY keyboard, multiple keys are used on this machine to create a steno outline. If you've ever played a piano or maybe some other kind of musical instrument, you know that you put down multiple fingers to access a note, and that's pretty much a good comparison to what we do with our writer. We kind of cheat a little bit. Cheat is probably not a good word to say, but we use the way language is spoken, and so we can phrase and chain words together so that I don't believe so and ladies and gentlemen of the jury become one note for us to write. So it's a way for us to get a little bit of a handicap or a buffer to the speed. The theory class that every machine shorthand student takes is truly the foundation of their steno. It's the foundation of their education. They're going to learn to break words down into prefixes and suffixes and word families. So there's a certain amount of memorization that's involved to create these combinations. There's also muscle memory that's created in terms of this. And it's a way that we use our psychomotor skills to move us forward. Big term there, all it really means is that you're using your eyes and your brain encompassing with your hands and your ears in terms of steno to create the steno. What is the fastest ever recorded for Guinness World Record? For steno, it's 360 words per minute with a degree of accuracy of 97.2%. So you can see high speeds and high accuracy are certainly attainable in this. Our writing and our theory is based on phonics. All silent letters are dropped. Cat begins with a K, knife begins with an N. So we drop off everything. There's no Q, there's no C, there's no X. So at the end of theory, a student can write any word in English that they need to. So this is a very, very brief overview of what they learn in theory. It's very intensive, it moves pretty fast, and it's truly something that you may have wondered what in the world is going on and why that little machine works the way it does. So I'm going to send it back to Janet. Janet, take it away.
All right, thanks, Alice. Our next presenter is Lisa Morton, also an instructor at CCR. All of our presenters are instructors, with the exception of our guest speaker. So take it away, Lisa.
All right, good evening. I'm going to be talking about time commitment. It does take a lot of time and commitment on behalf of the students. So for our court reporting students, You know that preparing yourself to meet the challenges of your chosen career requires great effort and discipline. You're like an athlete preparing for a marathon. You must mentally and physically prepare yourself to develop your skill on a daily basis. Our court reporting students are required to spend a minimum of 18 hours a week on their steno machine. They're striving to build their speed and endurance. They may have to be on their machine several times throughout the day. Daily practice will build confidence, increase their speed and their readback, and carry them all the way to the finish line of 225 words per minute. Building speed must be incorporated into their training program, and at CCR we definitely use short interval type speed building plans. We dictate material at 1 minute increments, pushing up that speed building ladder and coming back down for control. In addition, students have to practice endurance takes to help prepare for their 5-minute speed test, which we call SAPs. I'm sure you've heard of your friend or family member talk about SAPs and, you know, getting to the exit speed. This requires concentration on behalf of the student. There are a lot of points to consider when writing dictation. The students have to identify speakers. They have to drill over writing errors. They have to immerse themselves with grammar and punctuation rules. They have to know the difference between their, T-H-E-R-E, their, T-H-E-I-R, and their, T-H-E-Y''R-E. So there's really a lot for them to think about. They really can't cram it in on the weekends. They can't spend all day on the weekend. It needs to really be daily practice. And so here's what we require as instructors at the College of Court Reporting. We require 14 hours per week of speed building. We're going to require 2 hours of drill work spread throughout the week, 2 hours of straight copy practice spread throughout the week, a weekly punctuation quiz, a weekly self-evaluation, and a weekly SAP or test. In addition, some instructors might even have some extra homework assigned. If your friend or your family member is taking academic classes as well, they could spend up to 9 hours per week on each of those academics. So what I want to ask my family and friends that are joining us this evening, I want you guys to think about your loved one or your friend. Does he or she work full-time? Do they have a family? Is there a house they have to clean, food to prepare, or grocery shopping, all that type of things? If so, how can you provide the support needed to help your loved one be successful? I mean, could you cook dinner one night or 2 nights a week? I'm sure every student that's logged in would love it if they came out of their session, their speed building session, and you had dinner prepared. Or could you have a family cleaning day? Get all the kids involved. You know, kids can vacuum, they can dust. You know, help the student out, whether it's the husband or the wife of the family. I mean, you know, we can all chip in and support them and help them. Think of ways that you can do that. It is probably going to take a lot of strategic planning to make everything work together. But students, they need to stay positive, they need to stay focused, and they need your support and encouragement. They need their time in their office by themselves. If they put a sign on the door that says testing, don't disturb them unless it's an emergency. They need to perfect their craft. We want your friends and your loved one to cross the finish line to earn your degree and then pass their certification. So see how you can be supportive throughout this process.
All right, thank you, Lisa. Our next presenter is instructor Eileen Beltz. She's going to talk about speed building classes. Take it away, Eileen.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to CCR. I hope you're all having a great night. What I am going to be talking tonight is about speed building. So you learned a little bit about what the students need as far as technology goes. You learned a little bit about how it all kind of comes together and how much time really is needed to kind of perfect this skill. What I'm going to talk about is what they're actually hearing through those headphones when you see them and they're locked in their room and they don't want to be disturbed. We have classes all the time at CCR, live classes where the students can come in and get any kind of category for their speed building. Students have to pass tests just 3 of the categories that they have to pass are question and answer, jury charge, and literary. What I'm going to read to you tonight is a little bit of jury charge. You should all kind of probably know what a jury charge sounds like, what the judge would tell the jury before going into deliberations or at the beginning of a trial. So I'm going to start out with 1 minute at 120 words a minute. If your family member or loved one is in the beginning stages of the speed building process, this is about what they would be hearing through their headphones. Now keep in mind, they have to get, like Lisa was saying, get all the right there, and there's, your and your, it's and its. They have to think of all of those things as they're writing this. Think about their punctuation on top of just trying to write it this fast. So I'm going to do this 1 minute at 120. Okay, so this is what they're hearing through those headphones. Members of the jury, at this time, you have heard the evidence and arguments of counsel. It now becomes my duty to instruct you on the law to apply to this case. The court and the jury have separate functions. You decide the disputed facts, and the court provides the instructions of law. It is your sworn duty to accept these instructions and apply the law as it is given to you. That is, you are to apply it as your guide throughout your entire deliberations and apply it to the facts as you find the facts to be, and then render your judgment accordingly. You are not permitted to change the law, nor to apply your own ideas of what you think the law ought to be. Okay, that was 1 minute at 120 words a minute jury charge. Now, in order to get their exit speed jury charge, that's 200 words a minute. So we need to go a little faster than 200 words a minute to prep them when they get to the 200 words a minute. So I'm going to read to you now 1 minute at 240 words a minute. Now, as you're listening to this, think about how your student has to not only comprehend it and understand it, they have to think about the punctuation, think about the correct terminology, think about the ways to make all of these things come together, okay? So 1 minute at 240. Ready? Members of the jury, at this time you have heard the evidence and arguments of counsel. It now becomes my duty to instruct you on the law to apply to this case. The court and the jury have separate functions. You decide the disputed facts, and the court provides the instructions of law. It is your sworn duty to accept these instructions and to apply the law as it is given to you. That is, you are to apply it as your guide throughout your entire deliberations and apply it to the facts as you find the facts to be, and then render your judgment accordingly. You are not permitted to change the law, nor to apply your own ideas of what you think the law ought to be. It also follows that in strict keeping with your oath, you refuse absolutely to be moved, swayed, or influenced by considerations such as sympathy for or bias or prejudice against either the state of Ohio or the defendant in this case. A criminal case begins with the filing of an indictment by the grand jury. This indictment informs the defendant that he has been charged with a crime. It may not be considered for any other purpose. The mere fact that a defendant has been charged by a grand jury raises no presumption of the guilt of the defendant. Okay, so you can see when they have those headphones on, if they get interrupted, just a word or two that you need to say to them, or that, if there's any noise going on, that could totally disrupt their train of thought. So just to kind of give you an idea of what's going on in their headphones as you are watching them in their room. So thank you for joining us. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Eileen. We also call Eileen Speedy Gonzalez. All right, our next presenter is Bonni Shuttleworth, and she's going to talk about mock trials and depositions that your students participate in. Go ahead, Bonni.
Well, thank you, and good evening. Welcome to all of you. This is a quick kind of synopsis of our mock assignments, as we call them. It's a mock trial or a mock deposition. This assignment is given 3 times a semester to all the students working in 100 to 225 words a minute. The reason we do this is to provide the training, the opportunity to students
who are future reporters, in submitting a transcript to their employer. In this case, it's to their instructor for pay, and their pay in this case is a grade. The goals and objectives of the mocks, because many students know, why do I have to do this? It's to gain proficiency in speaker identification. It's very important. We write multi-voice testimony in the judicial arena. 3 or more speakers. You can have a judge, 2 lawyers, a witness, several lawyers and a witness. One of my students had 26 lawyers in a bankruptcy hearing. You have to identify when every one of those are speaking. Even in captioning, you have to identify the speakers. Even in CART reporting, the educational reporting, you have to identify who is speaking. In all areas of court reporting, you have to identify the speakers, and that's why we do mocks. They are your opportunity, Mr. and Miss Student, to practice doing just that in a relaxed atmosphere, right? No pressure, right? Yes, Miss Bonni. Exercise writing endurance. The mocks are usually about 40 minutes, would you say? So it's a little longer period of time on your machine than just a 5-minute take. So, and they're at varying speeds, so you go up and down the speed ladder. It's to prepare you for the working environment. Gradually, you will grow into the ability to take down verbatim testimony. We do not require an SH200, your verbatim. We're looking more for formatting. Students in SH200, which I am 1/3 of the teaching team, spend 1 hour editing this testimony. They produce a saleable transcript, which means no untranslates, no misspellings, correct punctuation, reasonable transcript formatting. 200, it's not expected to be verbatim, but the formatting is expected to be correct, not just getting the words. Producing the transcripts is your student's bread and butter. It's how your student will make a living. So our goal is to help you, to help your students to grow and develop competence in this skill. And we do give them constructive feedback. We don't criticize, we give you constructive feedback. Thank you to all friends and family for being the support we know you are to all our students. Thanks.
All right, thank you, Bonni. Our next presenter is our instructor, Stephanie Faulkner. She's our one of our CAT instructors. She's going to talk about software and translation. Go ahead, Stephanie.
Good evening, everyone. So Tim touched on a little bit about some of the basic technology that they have to have when they initially start school. And, you know, they start with just a regular typical computer, and they use like a Word document or something to kind of use for assignments and type in assignments and that kind of thing. As they progress a little bit in speed, then they have to transition to transcribing and translating in their CAT software. And that's a whole different ball game. So now are they not only having to learn how to write on the machine and how to use those keys to gain speed, but then they're also incorporating how to make that that language that they're learning translate into some type of English, which is then used as a transcript, and that's what the attorneys and the judges get. You know, that's what they sell to them. That's how they earn their money and make their living as a reporter. And so when they start learning how to use their CAT software, it becomes a whole different level of technology education. And, you know, there are a couple of different CAT programs out there, and CAT stands for Computer Aided Translation or Transcription, and it's not just, you know, like a Word program or something that you could go to Best Buy and purchase. It is a very specialized, high-level very high technical program that it takes a lot of time and it takes a lot of effort to really learn how to use and use it effectively. And not only that, they're building a dictionary on how to get their briefs, their outlines that they're writing on that machine, how to get that to translate into an English version. And so I'm going to show you just a quick little shot of what that looks like. And so this is one of the CAT softwares. You should be able to see my screen. So this is what your student is writing. They would be writing this on their machine, building a dictionary that then translates into text. And so this adds just a whole different level to their education of, building that dictionary, writing on the machine, and then as they progress even further into their speed, having a real-time translation come out so that it happens, I can't write and talk, automatically. And so you can see as I'm writing, it then translates to English. So it's not just them learning to write on the machine. That's just one part of it. They also have to use the learn the technology side, and especially as they're getting ready to graduate and get into maybe other areas of reporting, the real-time side of it, the instant translation becomes very, very important, and the need to have a good grasp of this type of technology becomes, even more important at that level especially. So that's just a little bit on how they, take what they're learning from that funny looking machine that they use and putting it into their work product that will then eventually be sold to the parties in the litigation. And that's it. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Stephanie. All right, our next presenter and instructor is Lois Schoenbeck. She's going to talk about graduation requirements. Go ahead, Lois. Whoops. Lois stepped away. Something must have come up. I'm going to then.
No,
oh, there
she didn't. She forgot to turn on her talk button.
Okay, I see her away. So no, I was just going to come back to you. So take it away, Lois.
Okay, sorry about that, guys. Just one of the things I do wrong in this process. But hello, and thank you, Janet. And I'd like to thank all the friends and family for coming to support your student, because that's really important. The part of the discussion that I'd like to talk about is graduation requirements, completion tasks, whatever you want to call those. There are 5 of them. And the first completion task is that each student has to pass 2 5-minute dictation tests with 95% accuracy and a passing grade in punctuation in each of the 3 categories. The exit speed categories, which would be 225 words per minute in question and answer formatting, which, by the way, is 1,125 total words in 5 minutes. It's quite a task. The second is 2 dictation tests with those same stipulations of 95% accuracy and a passing grade in punctuation in both 200 word per minute jury and 180 word per minute literary. The second completion task is those same 3 tests I just mentioned, but this time the student goes and meets with a mentor. And so while they're used to being in a room by themselves, mostly taking dictation, now they have to go in front of a mentor, and that mentor then assures that the tests are taken by the set of rules that are set up for students to take these 3 tests. So that is the second completion task. The third task is passing a 10-page transcript with 95% accuracy, and that would be from material from a court hearing or trial. And the grading of this transcript is based on anything can be an error, which would be the formatting of the document. Is the Q&A set up right? Is it set up right between if 2 attorneys are talking to one another or they're talking to the judge? Are they correctly identifying all of the speakers? They're always on the lookout then for making sure that all their spellings are correct. You know, we have so many words in the language that sound alike but are spelled differently, and I think Lisa mentioned there, and there. Even word pairs like affect and effect, when we say them not on purpose but just in regular conversation, do we have the correct word in there? The spelling of proper nouns like, you know, people, cities, companies, all those kinds of names. And also, you know, technical and medical terms can be very difficult. Everything has to be correct. And then the punctuation of the spoken word. I'm not going to stop laughing, I'm sorry. The punctuation of the spoken word is not an easy task. Spoken English is unstructured and many times does not follow the rules of written English. So it is a skill that they have to develop. The fourth completion task consists of a student taking a dictation class, a dictation test for 7 minutes. That's either at 200 words per minute jury charge material or 180 words per minute literary. And this is for them to show that they know how to use their translation software, just what Stephanie was demonstrating for you a minute ago. So it's a test for them to prove they know how to use that translation software and can write in real time. The fifth and final completion task that students have to complete is an internship, and this puts all of the elements of schooling into one task. It's a rather large task, but it is the internship, and this is where I end what I was assigned to talk about, and Janet Noel takes over from here. So it's all yours, Janet.
All right, thank you, Lois, and it's my opportunity to talk about the internship. And the internship is a required element of our Court Reporting Associate's degree program here at CCR. The details of the internship are mandated by, the details and the requirements of the internship are mandated by the National Court Reporters Association and also the College of Court Reporting. The purpose of the internship is for a student to get a taste of what it's like to be a freelance reporter, an official reporter, a cart provider, or a captioner, regardless of which path the student would like to follow. It's a great idea to intern in all three walks. Again, that's judicial reporting, cart providing, and captioning. A student at CCR begins an on-the-job internship when he or she passes the 5-minute, 180 word per minute two-voice testimony requirement, and when they have successfully completed the CAT class and the court reporting procedures class. The name of the internship class at CCR is CR 290. So when you hear CR 290, get excited because they're getting very, very close. This is a very important and an extremely busy time for your student. Not only are they completing their exit speed requirements, continuing to build that speed on their steno machine, finishing up their academic classes at school, but they are beginning to really see the light at the end of the tunnel, which is starting their internship and getting ready to really enter the workforce. When a student is ready to begin, they typically make contact with reporters, freelance official captioners, cart providers in the area where they live. In addition to just this internship, this connection that they make with their internship supervisor can possibly lead to an employment connection. CCR does assist students locating an internship supervisor if needed. We encourage them to visit your local courthouse, check out the agencies in your area, and make the connection. Walk in and say hello. There's nothing wrong with that. Many students also use their mentor as their internship supervisor. When the actual internship begins, the student is ready to apply everything they have learned here at CCR. In addition to applying, they're required to complete 60 hours of actual machine writing time under the supervision of their internship supervisor. In addition, they're required to complete an internship workbook, produce a 50-page transcript from their internship, create an ASCII file, and you can ask your student what an ASCII file is. It'd be a nice little dinner conversation. Create an ASCII file of their 50-page transcript, write an essay on their internship experience, have the internship supervisor complete an intern evaluation form, and send thank you letters to those that help them with their internship. It is an extremely busy time for them. During the internship, the student will sit by the actual reporter and observe the reporter select a jury, take down opening and closing arguments during a trial, take down the testimony of witnesses, and observe the acting reporter mark exhibits at a trial or deposition. In a CART setting, the student will sit with the CART provider while the CART provider, and CART is communication access real-time translation. While the CART provider provides a real-time transcription of possibly a professor's lecture that is displayed to the deaf or hearing impaired student. During an internship with a captioner, the student would sit with the captioner while the captioner provided closed captions over the internet for live events such as sports, political debates, news, talk shows, and other similar types of programs. You have probably seen captions on TV scroll at the bottom of your television screen. Those are court reporters. Yes, sometimes they do make errors, but we're all human. This is also the time when your student really puts their professionalism into action. A student's internship is really a very exciting time, but it's also a huge undertaking. Please do everything you can to support and encourage them at this time. Just doing, like I always tell my husband, just doing the little things would be a great way to start in helping your student make his or her internship exciting and rewarding. Parents, grandparents, spouse, boyfriend, girlfriend, brothers, sisters, aunts, uncles, maybe a new suit, a nice blouse, a shirt and a tie is in order for your student when they begin their internship. You never know if shadowing a working reporter can lead to employment right down the road. Thank you for coming and showing your support. That's all I have to say about that. All right, our next presenter is Amanda, an instructor. She's going to talk about our coach program. Hey, Amanda.
Good evening, everybody. Everyone at CCR is dedicated and committed to providing our students with the education and the tools necessary to succeed as working professionals. One of the tools that we have developed is our COACH program. COACH stands for Cheerleader, Open Door Listener, Advocate, Congratulator, Helper. The COACH program was created to provide our students with a point of contact at the school who will assist them as they progress through graduation. Every student is assigned a coach, and the coaches are faculty and administrative staff who have volunteered to invest their time in getting to know our students throughout the semester. Each coach makes a variety of contacts per semester with each of their assigned students. The contacts can include phone calls, face-to-face meetings if they live close, and any combination of motivational emails and postcards, including birthday cards. The COACH program at CCR gives each student another person besides their current instructors that they can turn to for support, motivation, encouragement, and just to ask all the questions that pop up while a student is in school. Thank you all for coming tonight, and that's it for me.
All right, thank you, Amanda. Our next presenter is our instructor, Heidi Headington, and she's going to talk about our mentor program. Good evening, everyone. As Janice said, tonight I'm going to be discussing the mentor program. Students are required to pass multiple mentor evaluations as they progress through each speed level here at CCR. Students must pass at least one evaluation with 95% accuracy in literary, jury charge, or Q&A to voice testimony. Students must pass one evaluation at 80 words per minute to advance to the SH220 level, pass one 120 word per minute evaluation to advance to the SH230 level, and also pass one 160 word per minute evaluation to advance to SH240. As Lois said, in addition to this, one exit speed evaluation at 180 words per minute in literary, a 200 word per minute jury charge, and a 225 word per minute Q&A to voice must be passed as part of the exit speed requirements. It is the student's responsibility to contact a mentor in their area to sit with and administer the evaluations. This is also a great opportunity for the student to meet someone they can confide in and talk to, and also hopefully do their internship hours with. Once the student has found a mentor, the instructor then notifies the mentor and sends him or her the evaluations and instructions for administering the evaluations. Students are responsible for making arrangements to ensure that all their equipment and technology are available for use during their evaluation time. This would include their shorthand machine, their computer with CAT software, headphones, internet, a dictionary, any type of reference guides, and etc. Each evaluation is 5 minutes in length with 1 minute of warm-up. 1 hour of transcription time is allowed for each evaluation. The entire process can take 1 1.5 to 4 hours. After the student has finished transcribing the evaluations in front of their mentor, the mentor then sends them to the student's instructor, who then proceeds to grade them and then notify the student of his or her results. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Heidi. And our next presenter is Bonni. She's going to talk about state and national associations and conventions. All right, Bonni.
Hi, just me again, and welcome again to all of you. Let's talk about the associations and conventions. It's one of the fun parts of court reporting. Number one, I would say join your state association if you haven't already done so. To find your association, Google it. Search for your state's name, Court Reporters Association. I'm in Illinois. I would say Illinois Court Reporters Association, and see what pops up. Then after you've joined, volunteer for your state at your state level. You can work at conventions. You can register attendees. You can man the association booth. You can pass out handouts in the seminars. And also, if your state administers the RPR test, which is coming up the first Saturday in May, volunteer to help. You can monitor the transcription room. You can register attendees, answer questions like, where's the restroom? An added benefit, I think, of helping at the RPR is you get to experience the testing, how it's done. And right now it's done by CD. What it feels like to sit in a room with maybe 30 other test takers. Online students seldom get that experience. You can listen to the tests, but you can't write them. You know when you can take a break and when you can't, and you're not paying for the experience. Attend your state convention. The fees are usually very low for students. This is the best way I know to get really pumped up about this wonderful career choice you've made. Talk to working reporters. There's always enough social time to get acquainted with many reporters, and they really love talking to students. Attend as many seminars as you can. There's a treasure of information presented in these seminars. And in this way, we've talked about mentors, we've talked about internship. At your state level, you'll get known among the court reporters by associating with them. And this is very handy when you need a mentor or a reporter to shadow for your internship. You know, it's a lot easier to get someone to help you if they already know what a great worker bee you already are. Join the National Court Reporters Association. The membership to this is very minimal also. There's some volunteer opportunities also, as there is in the state. The magazine, which many of you already received, has articles, tips on how to be a better student and better court reporter. Articles on the latest technological advances, because we are a technology group. We are computer. Anyone who's been raised now knows we are the computer. We're the state-of-the-art voice-to-text because of our computers. This year, our convention is in San Francisco. Okay, don't stay at the convention hotel. There are less alternative places to stay, and especially if you don't mind sharing a room. In years past, NCRA has had a student fund, which attendees contribute. The fund is divided equally and parceled out to the student and helps alleviate some of your expenses. I don't know if that's being done this year, but if so, it will be on the registration form if it's going to happen. So I'm hoping that it does happen again this year, because it certainly does help you. I have one more little word to say about tests, SAPs. A student cannot study for a timed test like you can study for an academic test. The student never knows what words are going to be dictated. She or he takes down just what's dictated. Sometimes you hear a word you're not familiar with, so you write it syllable by syllable. Think of the syllables in the words metallurgical, 5 syllables, 5 notes. And remember, your court reporting student is an Olympic athlete. Thanks, guys.
All right. Thank you, Bonni. All right, we're going to move on to our first guest speaker. We have Paul Hoover. He is the husband of Cheryl Hoover. Cheryl is a CCR grad and an offline captioner. He's going to talk about from a husband's perspective. All right, Paul, take it away.
Thank you very much. My name is Paul Hoover. Some of you may consider yourself to be sports widows. I know that during the time when Cheryl was at school, I was a steno widower. Now, I work from home mostly, so perhaps I have a slightly different perspective from other spouses. I'm not gone all day and then wondering where my supper is when I get home. So as a result, when Cheryl was training at CCR, I experienced much more of that training than other spouses might. So what changed when she was a student? Well, quite a lot. Some of the changes were very substantial. Some of them seemed rather strange, though. For example, it seemed like she wanted a new chair every couple of weeks. The old one wasn't working right, and my first thought was, well, what's the chair got to do with it? But I watched and I learned that it is important. And we also seemed to be rearranging her office over and over again. But I watched and I learned, and I realized that the training environment is critical to success. New computers, we went through a couple of those. Steno machines, we went through a couple of those too. She would disappear into her office for hours at a time, and it got to the point where I could practically recite the drill file she was working on playing through the speakers. But she was working hard, and I had to step up my game to help around the house with cleaning, cooking, and running errands. And I learned a lot about court reporting and stenography because that's all she wanted to talk about. And frankly, it's fascinating. I work in the software industry, so technology doesn't surprise me too often, but I have to tell you that the whole concept, the theory of machine shorthand in your brain, flowing through your fingers into strokes on that funny-looking typewriter, through the software translation, turning into words, phrases, and sentences on the LCD screen, it's absolutely amazing. And it helped me to understand why the training seemed to be taking forever, but it also gave me a new respect for her achievements. Friends and family members, if you haven't taken the time to engage in what your student is learning and doing, you're missing a great opportunity. If you haven't already done so, I encourage you to make the time to ask your student, how does all this stuff work? You'll be amazed, and it will give you a whole new perspective on what your student is training to achieve. Thank you.
Oh, that was wonderful. Thank you so much, Paul. All right, our next guest speaker is Kelly Olhausen. She's a CCR graduate. She's an RPR, Registered Professional Reporter. She's a freelance reporter, and she's also a CSR, Certified Shorthand Reporter in the state of Arizona. All right, Kelly, welcome, and it's your turn.
Hi, everyone. What a pleasure to be here tonight and give some insight to all of you how I managed my time in court reporting school at CCR and how my family supported and encouraged me along the way. Again, I am Kelly Olhausen. I am an RPR and certified reporter in the state of Arizona, and I currently work as a freelance reporter in Phoenix, Arizona at the firm Griffin and Associates. In fact, my boss is here with us tonight. Hi, Pam. Let me share with you how I managed my school time. Well in advance of starting the program at CCR, it took some preparation well in advance. And so in order to manage my family as well as I could, I have 3 children. I made a special area in my house, which I called it my quote classroom. I had all of my equipment set up in there with an actual closed door, and it was very cute. My husband had actually made a sign on the door that said, "Mom Studying." And when I took an SAP, the door was locked, and I had another sign that said, "Do not enter, Mom taking an SAP." So my family knew when that door was closed or locked or both not to bother Mom, unless they were bleeding to death. Anyway, I managed my family and school time. I put myself on a very strict schedule that I adhered to every single day. It was the only way that I can manage it with 3 kids. I would wake very early in the morning, knock out my academics well before my kids would even wake before school. It allowed me to have about an hour or 2 of alone time before getting my kids up and out the door. And then in the evenings, my husband really took over. He had to really step it up, which I love him to death for. If it wasn't for him supporting me, I don't know that I could have done it. He would help with dinner and the kids, getting them to their sporting events, so that I can spend more time at night writing on my steno machine and doing all of my speed building at night, as I'm a night owl and I did a lot of my speed building in the evening hours. My kids were great. I involved them actually a lot in my practicing. They would actually read dictation to me from magazines, from books, not just regular CCR material, but to involve them. They would pull out a book or a magazine for a different kind of practice, so to speak, and then they could actually see me write on my machine, and they were fascinated by it. And I would also bring my steno machine once in a while in front of the television so that they could see how it translated on my computer to what was being said on television. And so that really, they just really loved watching that. And the best advice I can give to you is to keep a diary for yourself to manage your time. I had a diary on my desk. I stuck to my schedule. You have to stick to it, or just, you just have to do it. That's all I can say was how I really got through school every day, as my life was just so filled with 3 kids. I did the same thing in the evening. I did not deviate from my schedule, as it kept me on task every single day, not only for myself, but for my family. And another thing I did, which was great as an encouraging thing, was I celebrated with my family. We would go out to dinner every time I reached a speed building milestone, so to speak. I hit 180 or 200. My husband would say, "All right, time to go to dinner. Everybody, let's go to Red Robin for burgers." My husband would be encouraged, seeing me accelerating in school, and it would be something that, for you to look forward to at your next milestone. And another encouraging thing for you is to contact a local court reporting firm in your area and develop a friendship with a reporter who can mentor you along the way. Visit the firm, learn their office procedures, sit in with them on depositions as you get up to 180, 200 words per minute. It's not only beneficial to you, but it will encourage you to keep practicing, knowing you might be working there someday. So develop those friendships, contact a firm, get to know your area reporters. And that's about it. Thank you.
All right, great job, and thank you so much for coming, Kelly and Paul. We can open it up for questions. We have about, it looks like about maybe 6 minutes left, so we can open it up for questions. Does anyone want to ask a question of any of the instructors, or Kelly or Paul? If you'll kindly raise your hand, we can call on you. You can turn on your mic and ask your question. No questions? Any of our instructors, do you have any questions that you'd like to ask Kelly or Paul? We probably don't want to ask each other questions, but do you have any questions for Kelly or Paul? Anything we want to address? Lisa, go ahead.
I have a question for Kelly. Maybe she might want to share what's the most unique thing you've come across since you've graduated and you're out there in the field, or a fun experience that you've had?
Well, I think the most fun I've had at a deposition was I actually had to travel to the state prison, and so that was kind of fun. Actually, it was very fun. I had to go down to, I had to travel about 120 miles down to Tucson, Arizona, to the state prison where our witness was being deposed. And, you know, you have to get dressed a certain way. There's very strict rules on how to even get into the prison. They don't want any skin showing, no skirts, no short sleeve shirts. I had to register my equipment ahead of time. Not only did they want to know the model, they wanted the model and the brand of my computer. I couldn't bring anything in, not even water. It was just quite a unique experience going there. That was kind of a fun day. It was really interesting. Never been in a prison before.
Well, that's a good thing you haven't been in there before.
All right, good question. Elisa's asking, when did you graduate?
I graduated January of 2012, and I passed the RPR. It was kind of an interesting story. I got out of school January of 2012, completely done, but then I had to wait until May to take the RPR. So it was up to myself, which again, I'll go back to my time management. I stuck to my time management even though I wasn't in school because I now had to prepare myself for the RPR.
Okay, and you know, by the way, you probably did, but I did want to make it clear that Kelly was an online student. All right, Abby, go ahead. Do you have a question? You want to turn your mic on?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes,
okay. This question is for Kelly. What was your first job as a reporter?
Let's see. Oh, my first job at my firm here in Phoenix was actually what they call a debtor's exam, and it was actually at the courthouse. So my first job was not a deposition. It was a debtor's exam at the courthouse. It lasted about an hour, and it went perfectly. It was great. There was a judge present in the courtroom. I wasn't expecting that at all. I thought my first job would just be a run-of-the-mill deposition. You never know where your job's going to take you. It could be anything. Every day is a different day, which is the best part of this job that I like. Every day is a different story, new people. You're meeting different people every day.
Did it take you long to get over your nervousness, or weren't you ever nervous?
I think I'm nervous at each job I go on to, just because you don't know what to expect. I would say I have jitters just maybe the first few minutes, and then you really just focus on your job. You really learn to tune everything out. You're there to do your job. The jitters go away. You won't be nervous, trust me. You're more excited than nervous.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Josie's asking, how long did it take you to get through school?
It took me 9 months, but my situation is unique. I was a court reporter in 1988 through 95 in Tucson, Arizona. I took a 15-year break to raise my children and went back to school at CCR for online speed building and to take the RPR. So I wasn't a full-time first enrolled student learning theory. I had to go back, gain my speed. Took me 9 months. I entered CCR, I believe, at 120 or 140 words per minute and was out in January.
I have a question, after that, what was your driving force? You went to school, you took off 15 years, came back and finished in 9 months. What was your driving force? What forced you to complete?
You could never take the court reporter out of me. I wasn't even 18 years old. I was 17 years old when I graduated high school in June of 1985, went to court reporting school in September. I completed very quickly. I had this driving force to become a court reporter. As I worked for 8 years in a great firm in Tucson, then I had 3 kids back to back. I just couldn't do it all, so I stopped working, and every day I knew I was going to go back to it, but I didn't know when. When my oldest was a senior in high school, that's when I decided it was time to go back. That was my passion.
All right, great answer. Elisa's asking, you said you had a schedule. Can you give us an idea of what that schedule looked like each day?
Yes. Now, again, remember, I was online speed building. I was not a theory student. However, I did have English classes and other things I did in the morning. In the morning, I got up, I did my vocabulary test, along with maybe a live class, and in the evening, I spent 3 to 4 hours at night building my speed, taking SCPs and SAPs. So that's what I did. I spent about, I would say, an hour and a half in the morning, knocking out the academic portion that I had to do, and then in the evening was all speed building.
All right, go ahead, Terry, you have a question?
Yeah, can you guys hear me okay? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Real quick, I know my wife is always working on this stuff, and I really want to help her out a lot. This is really for anybody who can answer it. What's some ways that I can help her out a little more and stuff like that? Because a lot of times I just feel lost, and like I want to help her and stuff, but it just feels like sometimes I just don't really know what to do.
All right, anybody want to just, come on you guys, this is your opportunity. This is your opportunity to use the text feature. Let's tell Terry what he can do to help. Do the dishes, vacuum, grocery shop.
Oh no, I got all that stuff. Like the chores and stuff like that. That ain't a big deal. It's more like studying wise and stuff like that too. Like I want to help as much as I can, you know.
What can he do as far as to be involved? Read to her. Leave her alone.
I thought leave her alone. Maybe I should just leave her alone.
Dictate to her. Ask her if she needs work on little drills. Listen to her read back. Be supportive. Numbers. Use the phone book. Great job, guys. This is what you should be telling your family and friends. This is what you need. Be open to whatever she needs help with. Hold her accountable for her practice time. That's a beautiful one. Lots of great suggestions here, guys. Wonderful. Reward her for small success. Very nice. Great job.
I appreciate it. Thanks.
All right. Okay, good. I hope that helped. All right, guys, it's a little past 9:15. Lisa, you want to wrap things up for us?
Sure. I definitely want to thank all the friends and family for joining us this evening and all of our students. I hope that you were able to get some tips and maybe a better understanding of what court reporting education is about. It's very detailed, as you can see and you've heard. And, I know that as an instructor, we do appreciate you supporting our students throughout this process. We try to be cheerleaders for them to get them to the finish line, but they need the support of you as well. So thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for all of the students that, dedicate their time and their efforts to becoming court reporters. I see it's really cool that we have an agency owner in our midst tonight. Her daughter is in attendance, so maybe we'll have her come back sometime to speak to everyone. But everybody have a great evening, and we'll end on a good positive note. We'll give you some applause to all who spoke and for all who were in attendance. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Kelly and Paul and all the family and friends.